In this video, we are going to create the part 5, the wheel, for our train. So we're going to click on the plus sign, so insert new element. We are going to create Part Studio. So how we're going to make this is we are actually going to make kind of this shape right here, except for all the way to the middle, and then we're going to revolve it around. So normally I tell you to start on the front, but this time we're going to sketch starting on the top plane. So you can click through here, but sometimes it's a little hard to get the actual plane that you want. So honestly, I just say click over on this corner. It's a little bit easier. So we're going to click on top, and I'm going to move this over to here just to get it out of my way. And if you have your screen kind of small, you might want to do the same thing so you can see what's going on a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is use this corner rectangle tool starting at my origin, and then I'm going to use my center point arc. So going from the center, click here, click here. So what I'm drawing right now is kind of just our basic shape, and then I'm going to add in another rectangle. So that's this cut over here. I know on here it has these fillets, but we're going to add those in later. Now I'm going to add in my dimensions. So I can see that going across, so this one right here, this is a 1/4 inch, so 0.25. Alright, so I got to zoom in a little bit here. Our next dimension is this one, so this is going from the center all the way to the center of our arc. That is 1 inch. Alright, so we can see our lines are turning from blue to black. That's what we want to see. We want all the lines to turn black at the end. Now we're going to go from this edge to our origin and down. That dimension we can find right here. So that is 1/4 inch, so 0.25. Alright, going to do the other side. And that is right here. So we just move up, and here we go. So it is 0.75. Alright, we can see that we still have one blue line. So this is actually right here. So it is 0.125. Alright, so we have all our dimensions placed in. So now what we can do is we can revolve. We want to revolve this piece, this piece, this piece, not this one, so you're going to have to unselect it. And then you're revolving around this line right here. Alright, so this is what your object should look like. Now we're going to be adding in the fillets. So what we're going to need to do for this is select our different spots for our fillet. So right now you can see this hot pink color. That's letting us know that our radius is too large. So we need to change it to, on our paper here it says 0.063, which I'm going to show you what happens when you do that. Alright, so you can see it's still hot pink, so it changed a little bit, but not as much as we needed to. So the reason for that is there is a tiny little bit of a rounding error with the drawing, so it should be 0.0625. And you see that now it shows up properly. So some CAD programs that you're using, that little tiny bit of a difference, some programs just kind of ignore it and just place it in how it would end up looking, but for this one it's a little bit pickier than other ones that I've used in the past, so we need to make sure that we take that rounding error from our drawing and undo that. So we can just click our green check mark here. So now we have our fillets added in. Our next thing we're going to do is add in the hole that goes through our part. So we're going to click on Sketch, click this surface right here, we're going to use our point tool right on the origin. Click our green check mark to accept the sketch. We are then going to use the hole tool, which if your tools are all kind of collapsed or smushed together like mine are, the drop down menu where you grabbed the fillet originally. So hole. We're going to click on our point and we need to change this. So let's see, still needs to be simple. Needs to go through and we need to change the size. And oh, here it is. So the size is 0.28. All right, so that's the size of the hole. So now we need to add in these cutouts. So I'm going to flip this over to the back, put a sketch on the back, and I'm going to add in a line here, another line here, and a line here. All right, so I know I have this extra line kind of floating out here. That one, not really that important. You could add it in or not. I just added it just to be a little bit more convenient to add in the other components that I need. So what I did right there is I added one line right here to reference. And then I added these two lines right here for the sides of the window that I'm going to cut out. The next thing I'm going to do is use my center point arc, put in the center, and connect those two, and then do it again. Okay. All right, so now we can start trimming. Where is my trim tool? There it is. So if you can't find yours either, it's in this menu. So we can trim all that extra bit. Make sure you don't trim this because you're going to need it. And then don't trim these two portions because if you do, then sometimes it moves around a little bit. All right, now we can use our dimension tool. So we're going to dimension from here to here, and we're going to get an angle. This angle we can see is 15 degrees. All right, we're going to get our next angle, so we want to go from the two sides. Okay. So our next one is 30 degrees. So if for some reason you clicked on this edge right here and then the line we're using to reference, then that angle would just be 45 degrees. So from here all the way to here. So it's basically just your 30 plus your 15. Next, what we need to do is add in, we need to add in the radius, our smaller radius, which is right here. So that is 0.37. And our larger radius, which is right here, so that is 0.63. All right, so we can now accept, and we can extrude this little window. All right, what we want to do is remove. All right, I'm going to tip this just so I can see what I'm doing. We want it to be through all, and that's all set. So we're going to accept. So now we have one of our little windows cut out. All right. Next, what we want to do is use our circular pattern tool. So instead of having to draw each one of these 6 little cutouts individually, we just draw one, and then we use our circular pattern tool. There we go. Okay. So what you're going to need to do is change the features, or the part pattern to feature pattern. And then the feature that you're going to select is your extrusion 1. So the first little cutout. The axis of the whole pattern is, I like to just select this circle right here. Or cylinder, I guess. It makes it a little bit easier to know what I was clicking on. So our angle basically how many degrees is it going all the way around. We want the full 360. Instance count, so how many times it happens. So you can see in this drawing, it should be 6, not 4. All right, we want equal spacing, and everything else is set. All right, so looking at this, we have our part. Okay, so now we have one last little thing to do. So right now we have a good wheel, everything's all set on it, except we're going to need something for the linkage arm and linkage peg to connect to. So we need to add in that last little finishing detail. So we're going to put a sketch on our front surface. You're going to want to make sure you click this one where the windows were cut into it. All right, and we're going to want to kind of zoom in about here. So we have our center point circle. I'm making sure it's lined up with this dashed line. Make sure you don't accidentally click on any of these circles. So I'm just going to place it here. All right, I want to now size the diameter. So that, if I look over here, is right there. So it is a 1/4 inch. All right, and I want a dimension from our center to our origin, and that is right here. So we have 0.7. All right, so we can see that it turned black, so the center is black and the outside is black, so it's locked in place. So we're going to accept our sketch. We're going to extrude. Oh, come on. There we go. You might take a few tries to click on it too, because it's trying to go through something else. Okay, so we got our 2 sections. I'm going to tilt this so you can see what's going on. And this is definitely not the same size as that, so we need to check. And our depth right here is a 1/4 inch. All right, so we're going to make another sketch. Now on that new surface we just created. All right, we're going to use our center point circle. Make sure the center is lined up with the center of your last one. That's what that little yellowy, orangey square was. All right, so our next diameter is this one right here. It's 1/8 of an inch, so it's 0.125. All right, we're now going to extrude. So you don't have to keep tipping it to see it from an angle. Personally, I like to do that just to make sure it's cutting in the correct direction, and also so you guys can see what's going on a little bit better. So our depth for this one is also 1/8 of an inch, so 0.125. All right, now we need to make a sketch on the surface we just created. We're going to use a point right at the center. And the reason why I'm using a point this time is because now we have a hole that is cut into our part. So accept, use our hole tool right here, click on our point, and as you can already tell, that is way too big. So we still want simple. This one we can see has a depth, so we want it to be blind. We want the diameter, which is our first one right here, to be 0.0625. And our depth, there we go, to be 1/4 inch. All right, and then for this one, it doesn't say anything about what they want the bottom to look like, so angle, the default is what you want to leave it as. All right, accept. And now that is our final little piece that we need to add on to our wheel. All right, so next video, you're going to be going on to do the work drawing for our wheel. Oh, and just a quick reminder, if you haven't renamed the Part Studio, you can right click, rename, and rename it to something like Wheel or Part 5 or even Part 5 Wheel. It's up to you for that. All right, good luck.